enjoyable because of the way Mark taught it, the way we got to discuss it. It was just really good learning. And I want to share with you that I don't want you to leave here thinking, oh my gosh, Pastor Kevin said some crazy things I never thought of. I can't believe he believes that. Okay? It was not about whether I believe this or I believe that, and I want you to believe like I believe. It wasn't that at all. This is a ministry school, and we have to learn to open our brain, because sometimes we get caught in our old ways, we get caught in our religious self, we get caught in our traditional teaching. Listen, I grew up in Pentecost just like y'all did. Not all of you, but a lot of you did, okay? I grew up in the tent revivals. I grew up in you know, traditional ways, and I remember when it was bad to celebrate Halloween, it was bad to celebrate Easter, it was bad to have a Christmas tree. I remember those days. And sometimes we can get stuck. It blocks our mind. And so these exercises and these challenges that I'm offering you are not to make you believe my way or the other way or any other way. It's just to teach you that as ministers of the gospel, you have to be very careful that you don't get stuck, that your way is the way. Yeah. You have to open up your mind, do some research, get some data. And as we learned today, now everything we need for salvation is in the Word, in the Bible, written pages that you have. But not everything is in the written pages that you have that fill in the gaps to some of your challenges. Okay? We learned that today. We learned that there are some manuscripts in a basement at the Vatican that have been hidden that might contain some of the mysteries of the gospel. Okay? But I want you to know there is a difference between those mysteries of the gospel that might be contained on manuscripts that no one's seen because they've been hidden, and the mysteries of the gospel, as we learn in the Hebrew exegesis, that, you know, that's called sod, where you get into the deeper mysteries of the gospel, where you actually have to think about this, right? When Jesus went to the woman of the well, he pondered this statement to her, go get your husband. That was just his way of getting into the sod, where it's like, wait a second, I don't have a husband. You're right. Right? Why would he even ponder that question? There's parables in the Bible that make you think. They're made to make you think, because not everything is written in ink on paper. So we learned that. So the things that I've challenged you with, please don't go away here thinking, oh my gosh, what kind of church does he have there? Okay, I'm not even trying to establish any kind of new doctrinal statements. I'm just trying to make us think as ministers of the gospel. We've got to open our mind to contextual, you know, analysis, to historical analysis, to all the linguistic analysis when we're talking about the grammar and whether or not the comma should be there or not be there, because some man could have put it in there when it shouldn't have been in there, or some man could have excluded it when if there was a comma there, it would have changed the whole meaning of the text, right? We've got to open our mind. Not only that, but we have to open our mind when we're dealing with conflict resolution, when we're talking about ministry in the church, and whether someone is ready for ministry or not ready for ministry. A lot of people question me all the time. It's like, why haven't you done this with this person, man? They're gifted. I'm like, I know they're gifted. I absolutely believe they're gifted. I believe God has an anointing on their life. But there's a comma missing. And we need to make sure we address the comma before we go any further, right? Not everybody's ready. Maybe everybody's called. Maybe everybody has an anointing, but not everybody's ready, you know? So we've got to make sure that we're addressing people with an open mind and understanding their history and all that. So that's what that's all about. And this class really got our thinkers going, which I really appreciate. All right. Take about 3 minutes each, 4 minutes. You can read your paragraph if you want, if that would be easier. Anybody want to go first? Was that you raising your hand? Okay, go ahead, Deb.
You want me to stand?
No, you can just sit there. That's fine.
I am fashioned by God. I am the most beautiful thing He made. I have a deep relationship with Jesus and will continue to learn more about how the women in the Bible were valued and used by God. I have learned that manipulation is not necessarily a bad word when used in the strategy of communication with others. What I think of sin could be completely misplaced. So I will open my eyes and my heart to the concept that I may see things differently than others, and will follow Jesus' example of kindness when dealing with people.
That's very good. I heard a lot of the teaching in there, like almost every line was specifically taught, and I appreciate that. It's very good takeaways. I do want to, for the sake of everybody here, want you to know, as Dr. McLeod said, there are some things that, though can be taught, not necessarily should be taught, because not every student is ready. There are certain things that we can't teach you because you're not ready for it. You're not ready. And I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying there are things that you have to be responsible with once you're taught that. So, for example, I heard you say you've learned that, you know, manipulation is not always a bad word when used in the right context of teaching or whatever you said there. That's good. That's true. That is true. But I want to make sure we're mature enough to know that that doesn't give you a free right to go out and manipulate everybody.
That's right.
Okay? We talked about how sin, say your sin part again, what we taught on the sin part, how not all sin is...
I will open my eyes and heart to the concept that I may see things differently than others and will follow Jesus' example of kindness. Oh, I think that sin could be completely misplaced.
Yes. So, there again. So, that is a true statement. We learned that from the context of some of these women in the Bible where we would have called it sin now because of our definition of sin, but the context, that could be misplaced, you know. The reason behind their actions could be misplaced, etc., etc. However, that doesn't give everybody a right to just say, no, I don't believe that's a sin. If you think it's a sin, that's your prerogative, but you've misplaced my reasoning behind
Well,
this.
we have to have the
Right?
wisdom to know how to use all.
So let me use this as an example. Let me use this as an example. I don't want to take too, oh my goodness, I love this stuff. But let me use this as an example, okay? I have 20 minutes, okay. Let me use this as an example. Many people in the church would preach this, and I'm talking about people that we're even close to, that we're in relationship with. I mean, they would teach it, and I want to be careful how I present this, but they would say that if I'm in a bar, I'm already sinning because I shouldn't be anywhere in the appearance of evil,
Yes.
right? That I'm already sinning.
Yes.
Take it a step further. If I'm not only in the bar, but actually at the bar, not at a table, if I'm, because I can almost do that. I can almost, listen, I can go sit in this area, but I'm going to sit at the table. I'm not going to go up to the bar. I'm going to sit at a table. That way, if anybody sees me, I can just say, well, the seating was full, I'm going to sit at the table. But I'm already sinning to some if I just step in the bar, right? Then go up to the bar, now we're even, you're at the bar. Pastor Kevin, what if someone saw you? What are they going to think? That, to them, that's sin.
Right.
Take it a step further. If I've got a liquid in a glass that appears to be a drink, they don't know. It could have been a virgin drink.
Right.
They don't know.
Right.
They don't know what I ordered. I could have ordered a virgin margarita because I like it,
Yeah.
right? They have no idea, but the appearance is the sin, right? Take it one step further. What if it really was a margarita, like an actual margarita with alcohol in it? Is that sin?
Nope.
I'm just telling you, I'm not saying it is or isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying, that's not what this conversation is about. It's to show you, to your point, that just because a preacher or a man or a woman of God is sitting at a bar with a drink that appears to be alcoholic, or even if it was, what is the context of that situation? Because you can read it in my book where I actually led a man to Christ at a bar where he was in tears and wanted me to pray for him at the bar. Now, there is not a person on the planet right now that can say I should have never done that.
Right.
Not
Right.
a person
You know
on the
what?
planet.
Whose business is it
So,
that you're doing
I'm just saying, I'm not saying we should all go to the bar tonight. I'm just saying, you have to use wisdom in what I'm teaching you.
Well, it's like us, I mean, we're our,
building? Are we going to a bar now?
Yeah, well, my buddy, he started a church in the bar. But I'm just saying, you have to use wisdom with what I'm teaching. Because what I don't want you to go out and tell everybody in the world that Pastor Kevin said it's okay to drink and go to the bar. I'm not condoning your awful behavior. Okay? You have to use wisdom. All right. Thank you for your sharing. We got about 15 minutes.
Okay. What I'm going to focus on is being more of a teacher like Jesus, leading people in coming to their own conclusions about the truth, instead of just blasting them with the truth. This, blasting people with the truth and trying to oppress them, but sometimes can intimidate unintentionally with my knowledge of information and facts, is more selfish than graceful, and more often than not leads people away from Jesus rather than toward them. I'm going to be a graceful woman like Hannah, show people the way to the truth rather than tell them.
I love it. You totally picked up on leadership communication, and that's what that whole paragraph is about right there. How do you correct people in love? How do you teach people in love with grace and mercy, and really just help them become a better person? You got all of that from this class. That's so awesome.
Amen.
That's amazing. I want to circling back, just hearing yours. Deb, I want you to add to yours just a hint of pointing out maybe one or two of the matriarchs that brought you to this paragraph. You see what I'm saying? Because I heard you say the name Hannah, I heard you say like this, like her, and I want all of you to include a reference to one or two of the matriarchs in your final, okay, paragraph. All right, keep going. Janine?
So the thing that impacted me the most this class was the idea that the Redeemer has redemption in his bloodline, and through these women that has been brought about. It wasn't even just after he came and saved people; it started waiting for from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And he's not just willing to use broken people; he wants to. He finds them and he picks them,
Yeah.
and then he shows them off, like in Hebrews. Sarah's mentioned.
Yeah.
I think isn't she the only woman in the faith chapter? Who's in Hebrews 11 that was brought up as an example. And with Rahab, she's mentioned so many times, and then in the scripture they specifically say who she was. I remember who she was, and because it's not any kind of condemnation. I feel like it sounds like pride, like. Yeah, this is my, as Jesus, this is my past. And these are the people that I chose to be my bloodline, and I chose to bring them out. Yeah, that really.
And it goes beyond that, because not only was it the people that were in his past or even his bloodline. But then what about his disciples? He's like, I chose you. Everybody hates you, but I'm choosing you, right? The tax collector. I mean, all this. He's having dinner with people that everybody's like, why is he in that house, And it's just, you're right. It's almost as if he's like flashing a big giant sign and saying, listen, I'm loving the people that are hard to love. I'm using the people that are hard to use. Now you go do the same. Man, but we can't get that. It's just so tough. But that's a great takeaway because you see it. And I believe there's even a hint of how it wasn't just Mary. It wasn't just the virgin birth of Mary, but even the virgin birth of Mary's mom. It's how God designed it from the very beginning. And it was all a setup. It was all a setup. And that's pretty awesome. So, very good takeaway. Christy?
I just put cover everything with grace, understanding, and calm with him. Many times to fight God. But allow the beauty that was fashioned in you from day one to shine and guide you through with the Spirit's leading. And just always remember that His redeeming love is always at work and always changing and always touching. But mostly, like with Hannah, not just the physical birthing. In her story, I just saw her story. But we see the physical pain that she went through going to the temple every year. But you can also use that story in a spiritual sense. We're always birthing something. There's a, you know, the Lord places something in us that will come to fruition at some point. So we're all going through that birthing process at some point. And sometimes we get to that painful, or even the tired of waiting point period. But we have to remember to continue to be gracious, to be understanding, and to be calm, and wait for His timing and conflict.
That's good. So likewise, just make sure that you note some of the women that you were referring to in those examples. I think you mentioned a couple of them, yeah. And then I just thought of one for you. So when you, in the very beginning, you talked about how you were the most beautiful creation. So you're referring to Eve and how she was fashioned, not created. So you can just reference that, and that would take care of one of them right there.
Oh, I got 3.
You got 3 now. Okay, good. All right, Tony.
So I said, this really opened my eyes more to the matriarchs of the Bible. I feel with this knowledge I will be better equipped to understand and be more relatable to women's perspectives. Hearing how God used women in the Bible in their many different roles and in spite of their position in life. From a queen to a widow, He had a place for them. From the Virgin Mary to the Samaritan woman, each one had an integral part in God's story. This also displays some of my misconceptions. For example, God gave wisdom to King Salem, I felt from teaching from men and now to learn his mother, Bathsheba, may have had a lot to do with his wisdom.
Wow. And Betty's like, amen. I knew there was value in him coming to this school.
You teach on the women of the Bible more.
That's good stuff. I appreciate that. Appreciate that takeaway. Betty, you're the last one.
God often used women who were not in the places of honor in society or in ministry. Spent time with and did ministry with and loved women who were on the outskirts. Even Esther, though a queen, hid a secret she would not have that would have ostracized her from the society that she ruled over. But God knew about it and used that outside experience to save her people. God wants us to spend time with Him, as did Mary, and to trust in Him, as did the widow with her mite, and not in our faith, like Pastor Kevin stated. He wants me to experience Him and His love, to taste it and take it into myself, so I can spill it over as an example to others. My name may never be famous to others around me, but it will be to Him. And I am beloved.
Amen. So good. So good. This is life-changing stuff, you guys. I don't know if you realize it. This is life-changing stuff. Please don't leave here like this is just another class and you do nothing with the revelation you got today. This is amazing, life-changing stuff.
I learned a lot of stuff I never knew.
Yeah. Yeah. Take this out and apply it to your life. That's what this last part was about. How do you apply what you just told me to your everyday life? Because it'll wreck you forever. It'll be something amazing. And to be able to teach it to others and encourage them the same way you were encouraged today. That'd be amazing. I don't want to leave out Vic. Vic, do you have anything? Any comment?
What did you tell me yesterday? That it changes your perspective of women in the church?
Yes, it did.
Can you share with us?
Yesterday, Janine started off with a question that I thought was going to go down a path that I've had struggles with, and that is women in leadership roles in church, specifically a pastor, that I felt that was non-biblical. In this studying that we've been doing, I've changed my position on that, and after this, I know that women have every bit as much and the same responsibilities as a man in the church, and that if God has given them something better, listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I will tell you that even today, it is still I think you're absolutely correct. I have no issues with pastors that are women. We have licensed ministers in our church that can preach up a storm, and I love it, and I love listening to them. We have women pastors that'll come in and preach at Refuge, and I love it. I will tell you, though, that even today still, it's rare that you would see a woman take the lead position in a church or an organization. Now, I'm not saying that a woman cannot take the lead position, but it is still rare. The reason I believe it's rare is because there is a biblical foundation for the man's role versus the woman's role on earth. I'm not talking about in the church, I'm talking about on earth in general. So in the traditional sense of the word pastor of a church, there's certain roles that that person has to take up. That is still today traditionally occupied by a man because of the nature of our being, and that's the way God created us. When I say nature of our being, I'm talking about, for the most part, when you have a married couple, the man can lift 300 pounds, the woman can lift 100 pounds. That's not always the case. I know I'm not making a general blanket statement, but I'm saying in most cases, right? In most cases, a spider is in the corner and that woman is screaming for that man to get up there and kill the spider. I'm bringing this up not because I don't think women should be senior pastors or leaders in an organization. I'm just explaining to you my theory as to why even today there are still very few senior pastors in the church today. I'm not saying it isn't the case, because there are a lot of women senior pastors, and I have no issue with it. I'm just telling you why I think there's still very few today. So anyway, good thoughts, Vic, and I appreciate your sincerity and how your perspective has been widened. That's awesome.
And there is a really big bias still. I mean, I've got a woman who serves under me, and she has a ministry. And she has recently had 5 or 6 women leave because she was ordained. And these women felt she should never be ordained, she never call herself a pastor.
Yeah.
But yet I'm watching this woman reach people. Nobody else would have reached people. And so it's like we get so tied up in what can't happen instead of what God clearly is doing.
Well, we learned from Mary Magdalene that that's an example of how, I don't know if they called her pastor, but she was known as an apostle among apostles, so that tells me she probably could get her preach on if she wanted to, right? So that's pretty cool. But anyway, great stuff, great takeaways. I told you, so your homework is done for my part. All you have to do now is recap the matriarchs in 2 to 3 sentences apiece, and you'll be done. So just take what you did for me, put it on the same at the end of your pages with all your matriarchs, and you'll already be done with my part of the homework. It's already done. Yes, Tony.
What are we doing next time?
Next month, you mean?
Yeah, because I know this is great and all that we have when we did here today, but I didn't know we were going to do this today. And I think from my perspective and my learning style, it would be better to know ahead of time what we're going to do.
What do you mean?
So what's the next subject going to be about? What are we going to learn?
So, you know what? I was told, but I don't remember. Dr. McLeod will be here in October actually teaching one whole class.
Well, what is that?
No, I don't remember. That's what I'm telling you. He
Okay.
told me.
I'll
send it to them.
Oh yeah, Maria will send it to everybody as soon as we find out. We'll get on that right away.
Great.
But yeah, because some of you like to come to class prepared and mentally, right? So you're already thinking about the subject matter, and I get it. So we'll do our best to get you that subject, and forgive us for our delays. We're still learning how to do this, so okay. But yeah, we'll get that. And y'all, I don't know if we announced it while you were here, but next month is the 3rd weekend again. I think it's the 19th and 20th of October. So it's the Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday is our Pastor's Appreciation Weekend, so Dr. McLeod will stay over for that as well. So it'll be cool. He'll be here for the whole weekend.
Thank you.
All right?